What's up, everybody? It's Kenjack back with a round of streaming suggestions, 10 movies and 3 shows that you should watch. Let's start off with The Master on Netflix. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who you probably remember from There Will Be Blood. It's starring Joaquin Phoenix, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Amy Adams, Laura Dern, Rami Malek's in a small role, Jesse Plemons as well. It is an amazing cast and an awesome movie. At its core, it's a drama that takes a little bit of inspiration from this. That's really weird. Anyway, it's a great drama that has some psychological elements and it's really gonna hold your attention from start to finish. It was also like the first fiction movie shot in 65mm film since like the 90s or something. It's crazy. Next up is Rush, also on Netflix. It's a Ron Howard directed racing movie that chronicles the rivalry between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. It stars Chris Hemsworth and another MCU guy you may know, Daniel Bruhl. It's one of the better racing movies of the last 10 years and it's definitely worth your time. Next up is The Natural on HBO Max. It's one of my favorite Robert Redford roles. It also stars Glenn Close and Robert Duvall. It's one of the best baseball movies ever made, but also just one of the best sports movies ever made. It has a flawless incorporation of sports and drama, and I think that they just gotta shoot it in the right way, where you're never at any point like, that's Robert Redford, he can't play baseball. Next up is The Invisible Man, also on HBO Max. It is a thrilling reimagining of the property, which I would have normally thought is pretty boring and is going to leave you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. It's also leaving HBO Max on April 30th, so just catch it now before it goes. We also interviewed Aldous Hodge for this movie pre-COVID, and he gave us a hilarious, just sort of behind-the-scenes look at how the effects worked.
And the hand just pops up.
Oh.
And that's what would happen. We were like, what is going on?
Next up is Kicking and Screaming on HBO Max. It's by no means a perfect comedy or the funniest movie of Will Ferrell's career or anything like that, but it holds a very special place in my heart. There's a lot of funny quotes, funny moments, and I honestly love the Mike Ditka role. It's just, the Mike Ditka back and forth with Robert Duvall is hysterical.
Mike! For Pete's sake! So, like, it's me and you against the old man?
I mean, there are other teams.
Gotcha! No smoking means no smoking!
Okay, come on, Phil.
I'll throw this out the window, honey.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
You should be.
Next up is The Abyss on Hulu. I cape for The Abyss a lot because I think it's one of the undersung movies in James Cameron's career. You know, it might not have the same amount of action as something like T2 or whatever, but I love the suspense. I like the science he put behind it, like the amniotic fluid and the helmet and all that shit. The aliens, it's all extremely cool, and I think it's cool sci-fi. Although the part with the rat always freaks me out. Next is The Princess Bride, also on Hulu. It's an all-time classic that is a super easy hour-and-a-half watch. There's a lot of fantastic quotable moments in that movie, but my all-time favorite is...
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Next up is Shooter on Prime Video. Bobby Lee Swagger is one of the all-time great action hero names I've ever heard in my life, bar none. It's not the best action movie of all time, but it is fucking cool. I remember watching this in high school and being like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. There's cool action, cool suspense, really can't ask for much more than that. Next is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, also on Prime Video. It's Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's one of the greatest romantic comedies ever made, period. It's one of the better comedies of the last 20 years. Always worth a rewatch no matter what mood you're in. Remember Jason Segel hung dong in that movie in possibly the most unflattering way possible? And lastly, for movies, the Indiana Jones trilogy on Paramount Plus. I've recommended them before, and they're honestly the best movies in the entire Paramount Plus catalog, and it's Indiana Jones. He's one of the best adventure heroes ever. And there's no better time to watch it than now with all of the casting news dropping for Indiana Jones 5. Obviously, James Mangold's going to be directing it, but now we're casting in Harrison Ford obviously coming back, Phoebe Waller-Bridge joining, and now Mads Mikkelsen as well. It's going to be fucking awesome. I know you might be thinking, you know, oh, it's gonna suck. Look, pay attention to what James Mangold did for the character of Logan and imagine him doing that for Indiana Jones 5 and wiping the taste of Crystal Skull out of our mouths forever. Let's move on to shows, starting with Sherlock on Netflix. I love the Benedict Cumberbatch iteration of this character. It's just so much more interesting. It's fascinating. Every episode's like an hour-and-a-half long because that's how British people do shit. It's weird, but it's very entertaining. Each episode feels almost like its own mini movie, and you really feel like, especially for the first time watching it, you feel like you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. Next up is Made for Love on HBO Max. I was lucky enough to have a screener for the first few episodes ahead of it coming out, and I've been caping for it since because I think it's super fascinating. It kind of is a blend of like Black Mirror vibes, but way way funnier and way wittier. I'm really enjoying it. And lastly is Invincible on Prime Video. I'm going to continue recommending this show until the fucking cows come home because it is so goddamn good. The phrase I've been using is that it fills this big The Boys size hole in my heart, which is, you know, probably no coincidence since that's also from Amazon Prime, but it is fantastic. It's subversive, it's weird, it's funny, and it's just gory as all hell. It's an insane cast, and the ending of the first episode is gonna have you hooked for sure. And as of right now, there's only 2 episodes left, so catch up while you can. That's it for this week, but make sure to comment below your suggestions for everyone else as well. And make sure to like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff, and use movierankings.net. I'm Ken Jack. See you next time.